On Monday, the 8th of April, Nicaragua presented their case at the ICJ against Germany, accusing them of complicity in the Gaza genocide. I summarized the arguments of each speaker so you know exactly what's happening. Ambassador Carlos Gómez opened the hearings by emphasizing that Germany's state policy towards Israel is dictated by their historical responsibility towards the Jewish people, calling it Staatsräson, or reason of state. He commended Germany for this policy, but he implored them not to confuse the state of Israel with the Jewish people overall. He also noted a significant increase of Germany's military industry stock prices from its cooperation with Israel, especially after the Arrow 3 deal and October 7th. The weapons developed by cooperating with Israel are often lauded as battle-tested and war-zone ready, and their labs being Gaza and the West Bank. Also, giving the early warnings by the UN and the facts on the ground clearly indicate that Israel is violating IHL and the Genocide Convention. So Germany should have acted on their obligations without waiting for an investigation. The Genocide Convention is meant to prevent genocide and not just stopping it. Regardless of the genocide case, dropping 2-ton bombs on heavily populated areas is a breach of international humanitarian law. He also noted that Germany have increased their military aid to Israel, ignoring over 33 statements by the UN, legal scholars, and humanitarian agencies sounding the alarm that Israel is breaching IHL. Finally, he criticized Germany's rush to suspend funding to UNRWA while Gaza is on the brink of famine, contrasting their attitude towards exporting arms to Israel despite official warnings and investigations. The second speaker was Daniel Müller, who happens to be German. He opened with the ICJ's recognition of the severe situation in Gaza and their calls for provisional measures twice. Those measures affect all Genocide Convention signatories such as Germany. He also noted a huge escalation of military export to Israel post-October 7th, pointing out that many of those arms are currently being used in Gaza. Additionally, military export licenses do not include military equipment delivered directly from the state. He also claimed that Germany's continued support for Israel due to their reason of state policy is now superseding their obligations under IHL and the Geneva Convention, which in of itself is a breach of those laws. He also gave examples of 2 Heron drones owned by Germany given to Israel to be used in the military campaign in Gaza, along with other military aid such as tank ammunitions and vehicle engines and spare parts, contributing directly to the operations in Gaza. So while Germany is claiming to be unaware of any breaches of international law, their weapons are currently being used in those breaches. He also accused Germany of ignoring the ICJ's provisional measures, even as other nations such as Canada and the Netherlands suspended their military aid to Israel. Finally, he highlighted the widespread recognition of those breaches within Germany, as over 600 civil servants have implored the government to stop aiding and abetting Israel in their current genocide. Even Germany's foreign minister have recognized the dire situation in Gaza, which is the direct result of Israel's actions. Professor Alain Pellet refuted Germany's legal argument based on the monetary gold principle. The principle means that the court cannot decide on a case affecting a third party without them agreeing to let the court to decide on their issues. However, Professor Pellet argues that Nicaragua's case is about Germany's failure to fulfill their obligations and not about Israel. He also noted, based on the Genocide Convention, states should prevent genocide and violations of IHL on the mere risk of those violations. Therefore, Germany's obligations are already there. He also criticized Germany's attempts to downplay or minimize their obligations, stressing that historical context does not absolve current responsibilities. The genocide term is not trademarked, so neither Israel or Germany can dictate what is and what isn't genocide. Finally, while Germany can argue that they have no direct involvement in Gaza, Nicaragua is accusing Germany of failing to prevent genocide and not yet their complicity in it. Ambassador Gómez summarized Nicaragua's arguments as Germany has direct knowledge and involvement in Israel's violations of IHL and the Genocide Convention in Gaza and Palestine as a whole. Under international law, Germany is obliged to stop their military, financial, and political support to Israel, and that Germany should listen to the internal and external pressures imploring them to prevent genocide and to resume funding to UNRWA in Gaza unconditionally openly and immediately. In general, Nicaragua presented a strong case against Germany. However, it's not as clear-cut as South Africa versus Israel. So Germany can effectively argue against some of Nicaragua's grievances, but I doubt they can excuse the repeated and continuous failures under IHL and the Genocide Convention. I'll see you again in Germany's argument summary. Free Palestine, ceasefire now.